Hello everyone and welcome back to the Michisok channel, where today I'm going to be reviewing a game that I have the most hours on out of anything else in my Steam library, and I've actually made a review for before. Also, yes, I have got the entire script up on my phone, because God knows there's zero chance of me ever memorising this. So this game is of course The Isle, a game published on Steam in 2015. Didn't mean to make that rhyme, genuinely didn't. Yeah, sorry about that. By none other than Afterthought LLC. Many of you won't have heard of them. I don't even know if they've made any other games, but this one they seem to have published, so deal with it. So my 2022 Legacy review was both praised and torn to shreds in the comments, with one person pointing out that the review missed out on saying much about many different parts of the game. So this edition will hopefully take the 2022 edition and make it a lot more thorough, because I just want to make some quality content for you guys. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, hopefully it's going to please everyone. I also have plans to make a secondary review, which is going to review the game in a much shorter amount of time, hopefully supporting the people that don't really watch this sort of long-term video. I say long-term, long-time video. Anyways, enough of that, and into the actual review of the game. A review which is split, and I know this is going to sound a little bit absurd, it's a long time. 8 parts. The first part will cover what the Isle Legacy is and what I wanted to actually achieve, and this will be followed by part 2, which of course will be how the game succeeded in what I wanted to be, followed by then how it failed in certain aspects for part 3. It really doesn't take a genius to work this out, right? Part 4 will cover how combat works, including the bleed and stamina mechanics. Yes, stamina is also used to run, just get around the map, but it also has something to do with combat, Okay, so yep, part 5. Part 5 will cover the roster of dinosaurs that you'll be able to play in the game, pretty much what you'll be using to survive and what you'll be engaging in these fights using. Part 6 will then cover the map you'll be traversing, as well as the basic controls of the game. I can say now, I can't bother editing the script or re-recording this. I do not cover the basic controls. I do mention what Q does in searching for food and stuff, but I don't mention how to move. It should be obvious, right? Part 7 will describe how food is found and what each dinosaur eats, as well as saying where to find each food source. This will this will cover how AI works as well, because it is a primary source of, food for carnivores. So to finish this off before I have a heart attack, right, from continued talking, there'll be a part 8. So this will be the final summary and include many of my own thoughts on the game. So this will be skippable, pretty much. You don't have to watch it to know everything. But I'm going to give it a rating out of 10, and I'm going to say whether I recommend it or not. Might even throw in a story or two. I don't know yet. But yeah, I'd probably watch it if I were you. What was intended? So this is taken straight from the Survive the Isle website, and is a straight answer from the developers of what they wanted the game to be. This website hasn't been updated in, I assume, years, but I just put here a long time because I didn't search it. But it still sums it up perfectly, right? So starting from here, I'll tell you when it finishes, but I'll be saying the stuff found on the website. The Isle is intended to be a gritty, relentless, open-world survival horror game. Explore vast landscapes of dense jungle, rolling grasslands, and wade through dark swamps where horrors lurk. Hidden within these lands are ruins that hold insight as to what came before. Through it all, keep in mind there is only one goal: survive. Ominous. Wow. There is little in the way of hand-holding or ulterior precepts to alter playstyles or purpose. It's kill or be killed, survive or perish. In the end, the only one you can trust is yourself. Over the course of development, the islands and their inhabitants will radically change, ever evolving as players themselves learn how to flourish and thrive. Your mistakes will be punished, your triumphs rewarded. Expect no survivors, but strive to be one. Still very ominous, very horror-esque. On the Isle, you can play as one of dozens of unique creatures, yep, that's completely right, through darting herbivores to bloodthirsty giants. You'll be the epitome of cunning, majestic, and ferocious. Use your surroundings, natural abilities, and senses to stay off the menu and grow into a stronger, more capable creature. So, yeah, that's pretty much that. Yeah, as you can tell, the Isle isn't meant to be a simple dinosaur simulator like one would think, was intended to be more of a horror game. So you can definitely tell this when playing the game. But, I'll leave all the details of that to the next part where I say what the game got right. You might also notice that the developers do not say how much of a social environment they want the game to be. This is strange considering with the creation of no rule servers, clans and packs in general, you see the Isle largely populated by people just wanting a place to, socialise, which is one of the reasons I've got so many hours. Yay! God, I regret spending so many hours. So, yeah, contrary to the idea of not actually being able to trust anyone but yourself, you can trust people, alright? Don't tell them your address, don't get me wrong, don't do all that, but you can tell them, oh, come to, like, Great Falls. You can trust them to not kill you. Okay, so just to clear something up before we move on to the next part, the Isle was intended to have human natives, and ruins scattered throughout the map. I don't know if I mentioned this, been ages since I wrote this script. I'll leave the details once again for later, but it's very important that you know this before I go any further into my actual review. So, just keep it in mind. Just please do it. It makes it a whole lot easier. What went well? Now, it is arguable that the game didn't do a whole lot right, and sure, there's many flaws, but I don't think it's right to avoid the obvious success the Isle had. It was a very popular game after all. So this could be influenced by the love I have for the game, but I don't want to skip it just for that, because it's a review. It's supposed to cover literally every aspect of the game, right? So the game features dozens of dinosaurs, like it claimed to want to have, all with their own stats, playstyles, and models. And damn, the models look good. One of my personal favourites is Giganotosaurus, which I have to be honest, it isn't for everyone. The models do look quite shrink-wrapped or just bloated sometimes. But honestly, I just love the way it is. I can ignore the lack of realism there. The IL also wanted to be the horror game it wanted, at least for the beginning of the game. In the first couple hundred hours, you'll probably actually get scared many times during this game, mostly due to the creepy music you get at night and the lack of knowledge as to what made the sound you just heard, once again, the middle of the night, and gosh, a lot of this game is actually in the middle of the night. And, yeah, nights are really scary. You of course have the night vision mechanic, but honestly, this can make the nights even worse. The night vision is only ever in a weird mix of black and white, and green. I don't know why I mentioned green, I think it does have green if you play on a certain monitor. And only covers a little bit of your close surroundings. So if you're close enough to the danger to see the glow of its eyes, then let's just say you're already done for. One way you could of course get through the nights easier is by having a friend or two to watch you back. Like the game intended, however, this could be a risk. There's always a decent chance that the player you think is your friend is leading others to your location for an easy hunt, and so, in the end, you are actually the only one you can trust. Now, I wrote this yesterday or the day before, I think, and I don't really agree with it entirely, but if you haven't played with them before, there is a decent chance, so I'm not going to throw myself under the boat too much. Okay, so players will intentionally act friendly before killing you. It's a way that some bad players have realised if you can get food, and so of course they just do it. It's unfortunate, but it's just a byproduct of the game, really. Okay, so now ruins were also part of the game description on the website, and it honestly went pretty well. They did indeed have buildings scattered around the map. Places like Port, especially, very detailed. So these will worsen your vision, they'll come up with visual glitches, and they hint at a greater mystery that I think they were actually intending to get. So honestly, can't really say they did too bad there. So anyways, yeah, one of the ruins is located along a giant skeleton under the Titan Lake next to the dam. Forgot about that. Oh, and a video should be released alongside this one, detailing the locations of 5 cool places on the maps. Yep, I do intend to do this still as I'm recording, so look out for that after you've watched this. Finally, the dinosaurs do indeed have natural abilities that help them to survive. 2 great examples are the Dilophosaurus having a massive field of view when using night vision, and the T-Rex with a bone-breaking bite, both helping each animal to survive in a way that others can't. It's also arguable that the Dilophosaurus has a little bit too much strength, considering the darkness of the map for the majority of the day cycle. But honestly, it means that the dinosaur has a niche it couldn't fill without the abilities. So, well, there's plenty of other things that we did actually get right. But I think for the sake of time, because this is going to be quite a long video in terms of what I normally record, Phasmophobia gameplay and VIL gameplay, I think I should just skip on to the next part. What went wrong? Now, what went wrong is a variety of things. These won't be in a particular order and may not even be related to the game itself, because as much as VIL developers would like it to be ignored, there are issues in the development team. We have links to Discord, not from Discord, in front of the rifle, but, it happened over Discord, let's just say that. Now, when it comes to combat between dinosaurs, many different issues. So dinosaurs like Suchomimus are too slow to avoid larger, more deadly dinosaurs, and others suffer a much worse issue, that being turn rate, which is a major part of the game. Now in VIL, there's a seemingly small issue with dinosaur collision, that being it doesn't actually exist, and so the player can get behind their enemy if they're able to tank a hit or two. This may not seem too influential, but if a turn rate is just bad enough for the victim, and the attacker has a decent one, then they're able to tail ride, a term made for staying behind your enemy whilst hitting them multiple times from behind. When this happens, there's multiple ways to get out of it, that being brake check, where you run forward and stop abruptly, hoping they end up in front of you. And I suppose you could also turn to try and land a hit, or you can pray to God that they spare your unfortunate life, because if they're good enough, you're not going to escape from that. So for dinosaurs easier to grow and seemingly pest-like, such as Utah, the tail ride can lead to them taking down Rexes alongside a plethora of other dinosaurs without even being hit once. And, well, it's just horrifyingly brutal to watch someone get tail rid. Genuinely, if you see that happening to someone and they look like they're gonna come for you next, probably just log out. Anyways, this leads me on to another issue, this one being that dinosaurs take hours upon hours to grow to adulthood, and are killed so easily, mere seconds in some cases, in unavoidable situations. So, the hours many people have in this game, mine 1800, oh god, start to make sense when you realise that hatchling from to adulthood, a T-Rex, will take 6 hours to grow. Goes as high as 6.5 hours, I believe, as well. Which is quite unbelievable, considering the game kind of just makes itself useless to people with limited time, which, after 2020, a lot of people, including me currently. A dinosaur that takes so long to grow may be killed in a couple of bites during a nighttime ambush, and with the map being so dark, and light being so unreliable in the game since the latest update, it's not really something that is good for the game's player base. The nighttime lasts so long that you're not really able to enjoy the game for what it is. The Dilophosaurus mentioned is a very good thing, is often mentioned as a very bad part of the game actually. Yes, it doesn't make sense that I put it in the good things. In my opinion, it can be a good thing, So, some people just consider its amazing night vision and immense bleed overpowered compared to other dinosaurs. I also think that in some scenarios, but it's not too bad. It doesn't make the game completely unplayable. Now, I mentioned earlier that there are many issues with the developers and controversy, and honestly, I don't think I can go into it in this video, as it may cause the algorithm to hate me, let's just say that. It's not too dark topics, but they're bad. They're very bad. So if you're genuinely interested, you can check my channel for a video about a YouTuber called Anthomnia. You may have heard of him, or maybe not, but I think that video is quite a good rundown on what happened. So perhaps my biggest gripe with VIL, despite having the old version... Perhaps my biggest gripe with VIL is that despite leaving the old version to create a Vrema, they decided to not reopen the modding community at all. Okay, that makes sense in a sentence. Okay. This is honestly quite stupid, and definitely meant to get people playing a Vrema instead of the older version of the game. Before modding was removed, you had massive desert maps, and even new skins for certain dinosaurs. It's understandable, and I guess in some way it works that they removed it initially, but when they abandoned the legacy version, they should have just brought back the mods. It doesn't hurt the game at all. So, yeah, I honestly think they should have focused on... God damn it, my throat. They should have focused on making a Vrema an amazing game to hopefully get people to just, move on naturally instead of completely wrecking the lighting and making mods completely unable to be obtained for the legacy version. How does combat work? Combat is one of the main features of the game, and I reckon I should explain how it works, including in this the bleed mechanics as well as the stamina ones. Stamina obviously isn't really all about combat and more so travel, as I mentioned before, but it does actually have an impact in combat that many players can use to their advantage if they know what the stats are for each dinosaur. Now, combat works by getting close enough to the victim with the head of your dinosaur in most cases. This is of course different for Stegosaurus and Anki, but they're the minority in this situation. From here, you left or right click. The left click is the basic attack, the bite for carnivores, and the headbutt for most herbivores. Let's just ignore that the Gallimimus can kick, for God's sake. The attack rates, this attack takes away from the health pool of the enemy. The amount of damage is based on the calculation, and get ready for it. You might as well be in a GCSE maths class at this point. Attacker weight divided by victim weight times base damage, and that is equal to damage dealt. It is very confusing, but, you know, when you do think about it, sort of makes sense, you know? For certain dinosaurs, there'll be a bleed effect added onto the victim of the hit. This isn't just for carnivores either. The Triceratops and Stegosaurus are both two examples of herbivores able to use bleed. So bleed works in ticks every 3 seconds and stacks to a certain point, which gives you the icon of 3 blood drops on the hood of the sufferer. This bleed will tick down the health of the afflicted until they die. This is of course an avoidable death in some cases, however, as by standing still, crouching or sitting down, the bleed will slowly heal off the afflicted dinosaur. Sorry everyone, my voice is going for some reason, but I'm going to try and get this part done and then go get a drink. God help me, terrible decision, I know, but I'll do it, right? So now, bleed isn't always the same, even though it might be the same dinosaur hitting 2 different types of dinosaur. The bleed calculation depends on the bleed resistance of the target, whilst the bleed heal will differ just the same. So for example, bleed heal on the Ceratosaurus, absolutely terrible, as is the bleed resistance meanwhile on the channel favourite Diabloceratops. The bleed resistance is high and so is the bleed heal, meaning the Diabloceratops will just shrug off the bleed, whilst the Ceratosaurus will suffer for ages upon ages, might even starve to death while it's trying to heal. Okay, so it's also a good idea to note that if you are bleeding, the game lets you sit down to of course heal quicker, but also avoid death, as the bleeding sitting animal will not take damage that puts its health below 0, and so cannot die from it. You can still die from hit though, so yeah. Don't just sit down in the middle of a fight, it doesn't work out too well, I know from experience, right? So you might have noticed that I didn't mention the special attack performed with a right click, and very few dinosaurs have this. The ones that do are, God help me, this is a long script, Shantungosaurus, Therizinosaurus, Triceratops, Camarasaurus, and Pew. Yes, I'm not trying to pronounce the entire Pew name, right? Okay, these often cause a lot of damage and bleed, but can lock the user into their current position, meaning the enemy can dodge and get behind them. Now this is a very common thing for especially Shantungosaurus in this game, despite how strong and just generally large and tanky they are. And I would go on to say that tail riding is a common issue in combat, but I suppose I've already mentioned it in this video. Okay, so I'm back to continue the review. I did get a drink. Doesn't seem to have helped too much, but I really want to finish this video today, so if God allows it, I will finish it. Also, my hand looked dead. And I'm short-sighted, so I can't see that right, but why is it so grey looking over there? It's because it's dark? Yeah, okay, it's because it's dark. Right. Okay, so, the roster. The carnivores in the roster are as follows. Okay, Allosaurus, Ceratosaurus, Carnotaurus, Dilophosaurus, Giganotosaurus, Suchomimus, Utahraptor, T-Rex, Afrocanthosaurus, Spinosaurus, Albertosaurus, Ostroraptor, Baryonyx, Herrerasaurus, and Velociraptor. Yep, that much diversity, but keep in mind, many of them are only available through Discord injections, which is where you have to put your Steam ID, stuff like that, what server you're on, and many only on Sandbox, which is a different type. There's 3 modes. I should have put this in the actual review. There's 3 modes, Sandbox, Survival, and I think there's like a growth one. I can't remember, not important, trust me. Am I getting haunted? I swear I saw something back there. Oh. Weird. Okay, so, so right. Now, so this is the same for herbivores, which I guess I also have to list now, sadly. Diabloceratops, Dryosaurus, Gallimimus, Myosaura, Pachycephalosaurus, Para, Triceratops, Ankylosaurus, Camarasaurus, Therizinosaurus, Shantungosaurus, Stegosaurus, and Pew. I refuse to say its full name, because I don't know how to pronounce it properly. Okay, now these dinosaurs all have different stats and bodies that make them stand out. Factors like damage, health, size, and bleed resistance, to name a few. These dinosaurs can be coloured using the game's UI, but this cannot be changed, and the game does not let you save your dinosaurs. So that pretty much means that you have to play on the same server until you, well, play the same dinosaur on that server until you die. So don't worry, you can commit suicide by going for a swim that lasts forever. You can walk up to a hungry carnivore. There's various ways to die. So genuinely isn't that much of an issue. So just to suggest a few that you should play, very happy I included this bit. Diabloceratops has great health, bleed heal, bleed resistance, speed, and damage. Can still be chased down by stuff like Giganotosaurus and T-Rex, but hey, most things can, right? It can also cause bleed to its enemies, which is great for a herbivore and only takes around 3 hours to grow, which is moderate for the Isle. Another would be Utahraptor, not a personal favourite, but it takes no time to grow, can live off of eating VI, and in all honesty, so nimble you can traverse the map very quickly without being caught by predators. By no time, by the way, I mean like 2.5 hours, so still quite bad. I should also mention that the carnivores on this list are all able to crouch using control. So if this is done for a few seconds, you'll get the ability to run at a higher speed. This is called ambush speed, and it lasts a limited amount of time. And I know that's more of a combat mechanic, but still, it's only for one side of a roster, so I thought I'd just put it here. Also, couldn't bother changing the script, so deal with it. The map. Now, I suppose it's time to talk about the maps you'll be playing on. These include ILV3 and Fenyor Island. The ILV3 is a massive map, my personal favourite, but has a decent amount of plains, and you can traverse that map as a large dinosaur very easily. Not too much to bump into if you avoid everything. So, I mean, yeah, it tends to be the most popular out of the two maps and features locations like Twins Lake, Great Falls, and Port. All great and highly populated areas of the map. Fenyor, however, has less plains and more just overall forest, which is very good for smaller animals with smaller turn rates and turn radiuses. But the larger ones might find it a little bit annoying, bumping into stuff. So, it's also smaller than the ILV3, but still has some popular locations. So these include the Lighthouse area, Sanctuary Pond, and the Canyon. The Canyon being the only area in the game with a lava room. So you can die in the lava. I've tried it. It's horrible. I mean, yeah, just be careful around the lava. You'll be fine, right? The map also allows you to actually travel to the volcano, which is the main part of Fenyor. And I've only done this once as an adult Dilophosaurus. So sadly, I don't know who I did this with, and I can't get the footage to put it over me. But, I mean, yeah, it was very entertaining. If you do end up getting the game after this review, I recommend going to Volcano after a couple of hours of playing the game. Okay, so here's the very important part, right? To traverse these maps, you'll probably want to use a vulnono.com map. Now, I'll link it in the description, hopefully, in case I forget. Please remind me if I do. And here you can choose what map you're on and copy the coordinates of your dinosaur found by hitting insert and looking in the top right. And this will show you exactly where on the map you are, and this should help you find food, water, and popular areas. So I don't know this I didn't know this for the beginning of my journey in the Isle, but trust me, my life would have been a ton easier if I just knew about it before, right? Another way you could actually do it, this isn't actually on the script, right? Another way you could do it is getting in a group with someone if you just want to find them and nothing else. You can, just, like I said, group with them. Their name should come up. Same with their profile picture, if you have it toggled in the settings. If not, probably do it while you find them. And you can just walk towards them. It does tell you what direction they are. So, yeah. Bit of wisdom from a veteran Isle player, which isn't much of a boast, but I don't know. It's wisdom, innit? What can I eat, though? So food in the Isle can be found in various places. Sorry, just gonna swap my sides so I can actually, like, add some variety, I don't know. So it can be found in various places. There aren't really any solid areas to look at apart from like way too confusing areas to cover in this video. Carnivores of course eat meat, and the herbivores bushes. So these bushes stand out as lighter coloured and holding red berries. Something important to note is herbivores can't just eat any plant they find. So I do have a story about this. I once starved to death looking around, not realising that you could just find plants that are the right type. So I kept trying to eat the trees. A little bit embarrassing, I'm not going to lie, but, you know, I got past it. A little bit. I mean, I still do it a little bit, but... Moving on, right? These bushes will come in a small, medium and large variety, and will lose all of its leaves if the player consumes all there is in the bush. So larger herbivores and older ones will eat more in the bush, so keep that in mind when you're trying to feed younger members of the herd. As well as this, the food timer is not shown to the player, but you can see their percentage on the insert screen while hovering their mouse over the food icon. So, good to keep track of, really. I just realised I forgot to turn the text to white from red when I was writing the summary. God. So, as for the carnivores, there's two sources of food, this being, of course, players and the AI. AI is either Ceratops, Oro, Toko, and Velo, and these won't fight back, but the Velo can, and actively will try and kill young dinosaurs like Juvies or pretty much any type. Okay, so once the body has been secured, the carnivore will eat the main body, which will make it disappear and turn it into ribs, right? This actually resets the deletion timer, eventually it will decay and just like disappear, I suppose. So you can actually keep the food for longer by turning it into ribs after a while. So these ribs eventually rot, or are eaten and disappear, leading to the carnivore finding a new source of food. Okay, so this is a very important bit in the aisle, right? By holding Q, you're able to smell. Herbivores, they have to do it standing still, sadly. Yeah, I think that the developers are just way too into carnivores. I'm a herbivore main, so yeah, I get a little bit too guilty killing people. So a carnivore can do it while walking. This means the player can smell bushes in the form of green highlights, can see footprints in the form of yellow highlights on the ground, and can see red highlights for blood and ribs. So the blood aspect allows the carnivore to track down the target at night and watch if they're still bleeding to make the most of their hunt. A lot more useful than you'd expect, especially if you're a Dilophosaurus. Okay, so here comes the bit that I'm pretty sure most of you will be waiting for, and it's the summary, which is part 8. Okay, now, in my opinion, the Isle is a great game, just as much as a time sink, right? So if you're a dinosaur fanatic or love roleplay games where you can socialise, then the game's just great for you. But the impatient might hate it and rage quit when they lose all their progress. Happens way too often, trust me, right? The game has obvious flaws and some very good things. Nothing I've mentioned will be changed or fixed, as the legacy version is not going to be updated anymore. So this means that none of the issues will ever stop being issues. As depressing as that is, it is sadly the truth for this. So despite this, I honestly rate the game at a 10 out of 10. I'm even going back on what I said. Yes, that's dumb as hell, and yes, I'm super biased, but this is the game I have the most hours in, and it's the game that I've had the most fun in. So for £15 in 2020, I was able to get a game that would let me reach a ton of good online friends and have 1800 hours of fun. Even if it did get frustrating at times, so it's not 1800 hours of fun, is it then? Right, so in the end, I do think the game is worth picking up. If you stay past the learning curve, I promise you are bound to find something that you will love or even just enjoy, pretty much. So that being said, I think now is a great time to end the video. The game is a 10 out of 10 from me and very much worth picking up. So I hope you learned a lot about the game, and I shall see you in the next video. Sorry for my voice, and goodbye. This was a dumb video.